Hello everyone, welcome back to Seek the Source Ministry. I'm Arlene, your encourager. If you're new here, remember to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any new videos. I'm here to present you with today's topic on the struggles people face in their relationship with faith, suffering, and the trials of life. This message reflects the inner struggles believers often face, feeling pressure to be strong and unshakable, while real-life experiences bring pain, doubt, and vulnerability. Do you feel like you're always fighting? War, whether external or internal, is deeply painful and unfair. It breaks the spirit, leaving us questioning God and wondering why we must endure suffering we feel we don't deserve. It can feel like the world is divided into two kinds of people, those with a conscience and those without. The ones without seem to live without care, moving through life unbothered despite their wrongdoings. Meanwhile, those striving to do right often face hardship, betrayal, and moments of crushing despair. You look at others who wrong you, who judge you while ignoring their own faults, and wonder why God seems to allow it. And when suffering comes into your own life, it's easy to feel like you're being punished. This can create a war within, a mental and spiritual battle, questioning why God isn't stepping in sooner or why you're being made to endure so much. I've been there, wrestling with God, exhausted and pleading for relief. I've asked why it feels like I'm being stretched beyond my limits. Then I was reminded by His word that He won't give us more than we can bear. I've cried out, Lord, haven't I been through enough? What lessons must I learn? Why must I suffer when all I want is to live in peace and abundance? The waiting, the unanswered prayers, and the sense of oppression can feel unbearable. Yet in my lowest moments, God reminds me that the way to life has oppressions along the way. He said to be patient and trust Him, even when the path is heavy with resistance. Still, I struggled with surrender, wanting so badly to escape the pain. I hated the warfare, the inner torment, and the feeling of being broken. But then I remembered the story of the eagle. When storms come, eagles don't avoid them. They face the wind head on, letting it lift them higher. That story became a symbol of hope for me. The enemy may try to break us, but God's love sustains us. Even in our weariness, He gives us strength to run and not grow faint. Let's be honest, the Christian walk isn't always joyful or easy. You can have peace in your heart and still face immense struggles. We're often taught not to question God, but He has all the answers, and I've learned that He welcomes our questions. He hears cries of our hearts and sees our weariness. Even when life feels overwhelming, God is present, working for our good in ways we may not yet understand. So if you feel at a breaking point, know this, you're not alone. Wrestling with God doesn't mean you lack faith. It means you're fighting to hold on. And in that fight, He's holding you too. The storm won't last forever. Keep pressing forward and trust that He's shaping something beautiful even in the midst of the pain. God sees your weariness, hears your cries, and holds you even when it feels like the breaking point is near. The storms may rage, but that won't define the story. God's love and your perseverance do. Sometimes we suffer because lies that were told to us as believers or lies we told ourselves. Get to the root with the Messiah and unlearn the lies. As believers, we're often told that we must always stay strong. We may believe that depression and anxiety don't belong to us as Christians, that poverty shouldn't touch us, and that we should never feel certain emotions. We feel pressured to always be at the top because the word says, I am the head and not the tail. We believe we must live in abundance because we are descendants of Abraham. Even in our own culture sometimes tells us we must have it all together. I'm not saying we should remain stagnant in life. What I want to emphasize is the importance of listening with empathy and resisting the urge to dismiss others simply because we haven't shared the same experiences. I'm saying we'll go through different seasons of life where things just don't go as expected. From my experience, I've noticed that while I listen to friends' struggles with empathy and without judgment, I often felt unheard when it was my turn to share. Their responses were well-meaning, with Bible verses pointing to Jesus, but I felt as if I lacked faith for even having those feelings. I felt shut down and invalidated. Unfortunately, I'm guilty of this as well. I used to do the same thing to my children, projecting on them the same tough it up mindset I learned from my own culture, until one day I truly heard their cries. I too was forced to listen when I felt anxious and defeated. It seemed like attacks were coming from every direction, but I held on, trusting that God would never leave or forsake me. Even in my questions, I wrestled with him, asking why I was suffering this torment, feeling the mental anguish and wondering what lesson was hidden in the pain. I learned that while everything we go through has a reason, surrendering to God's timing and trusting him makes the process so much easier. The longer I resisted, the longer I suffered. The faster I let go, the lighter the burden became. We suffer more for many reasons, sometimes because of our own beliefs or mindsets. Sometimes we are our worst enemy, not following the right steps, yet still asking God why. Every experience, especially the painful ones, has a lesson to teach. It's essential to let him reveal the roots of your whys. There's even a lesson in anxiety. This is part of being human. I'm not saying it's normal to live with constant anxiety, but sometimes it's a signal. It might mean danger is near, or it might mean you need to change your lifestyle or make adjustments. We wonder why we're not sleeping, but we stay up late looking at screens that mess with our hormones. We feel pain but keep eating foods that are harmful to our bodies, or neglecting to stretch or exercise. I often complain of exhaustion, yet I'll stay up past midnight. When things aren't going the way we expect, it's time to pause and examine the possible reasons. He will reveal hidden things if you ask, and will work with you to get to the root cause. Many of us suffer from sleep deprivation, maybe because of worry or because our bodies are signaling that we're out of balance or lacking nutrients. It could be a spiritual attack, and God is waking you up to pray. With all your troubles, give it to the Lord. The solution is let him get to the root of your whys. The Holy Spirit will guide you. The Lord tells us not to be anxious because he knows we'll feel that way at times. He reminds us that while we may experience anxiety or fear, we don't have to stay in that state. He is the answer to our why. He asks us to cast all our cares on him. How can we develop faith if we never face fear? How can we have a testimony if we never overcome anxiety? If life were perfect, we wouldn't know the need to depend on God. If everyone were rich, we wouldn't need to be generous. If everyone were poor, we wouldn't experience abundance. Your life is uniquely yours, filled with lessons to help you grow and to guide others. Embrace it and trust that even the most difficult parts are shaping you into who you're meant to be. You're exactly how he created you to be. Yes, sometimes life can leave you feeling battered by trials, but let him work with you. Let him work with what he's already planted in you. Don't compare your journey with others. Look to God for your answers. He knows your whys.